Welcome to Jolene's Books and Writers Talk, where stories begin long before the first page, and writing is more than words on a screen. I'm your host, Jolene McFadden, and each week I sit down with authors and publishing professionals to talk about craft, creativity, and the real life behind the books. These episodes are sponsored by Southern Dragon Publishing. Please take a few seconds and hit the like button, share this and other episodes, subscribe to our channel, and even leave a nice comment below. Let's begin.
If there was ever anybody in my space that I thought would not write a book, it would be me, raising my hand for that. But now, completing my third book, the third one being a children's book, I am now on the list of authors. I was a television journalist for many years. And as one of my news directors said, I knew she could write 90-second stories, but I wasn't confident that she could write a book. He and I were on the same page. But it happened, The Art of Forgiveness and Expression of Peace, which was released last year. And now BJ and the Majestic Forgiveness Tree is now my first children's book. It is currently on Amazon and will be a part of the Sunshine State Book Festival. And as our children are learning about the environment, BJ's big mission, Healing Easy Turtle, which is his little forest friend, heals the earth. It gives us an opportunity to help children understand that what impacts the animals is also impacting us. So that's what Easy Turtle is up against, eating plastic out of the river, and that is impacting turtles and the rivers as well as the ocean. And while they survived being here when the dinosaurs became extinct, now they are facing extinction because of us as humans. So that is that book, and my little BJ wants to be an astronaut. So the third children's book will be BJ's adventures, going to see Pluto first. Pluto, that used to be a planet, but is no longer a planet. And so, yeah, that's my writing from starting out as a journalist when I was 19 years old. And then here in my later years, becoming a writer of books. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to be here with your children.
All right, so are your books self-published or hybrid?
Yeah, they are self-published. The first one through Zion Press. And then the children's books with an author who was a part of the Sunshine State Book Festival. I met her through there. That's the other wonderful thing about being at the book festival, the opportunity to meet other writers and other people who offer services, and we can support each other on this journey, this literary world, and sharing our journey, and whether the journey is real or the journey happens in our minds, in our hearts as we write fiction. That has been a wonderful opportunity to meet her, as well as an illustrator as a result of the Sunshine State Book Festival.
That's always good, having contacts and meeting resources. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
I know that you have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page. And have you created any other social media that you share your writing or your books with?
Through TikTok and Instagram. However, Jolene, being technologically challenged, I have not used those in an effective way as I could, but I'm learning and looking forward to learning more, because that is what people are turning to today. Social media.
There's a whole thing about TikTok. I say use it until you lose it because it's a fun environment. It's a way to connect on a personal level with readers. And usually it only takes a minute or two of my time every morning while I'm doing coffee. Just do a quick video or whatever my day might be, or a bird in the window or something, and you talk about your books, and then you like a couple of others, and then you're done for the day.
Really?
There are several things in the works to replace it, but I don't know if it will be the same. I know it's getting more and more commercialized, which is a shame. So as authors and book readers of all genres, we're always trying to find a place where we can connect with like-minded people and share what we love.
Yeah.
How did you develop your plot and characters for your children's books?
The base started from the real life experience of sharing with the audience this art of forgiveness, a journey that I thought that I was writing that book about my sister's journey who contracted polio during the time that polio was running rampant, and her journey to forgiveness, and then her art coming forth as a result. She contracted polio when she was 3 years old, slid on her stomach like a snake for 2 years, and through fasting and praying and her determination, along with that fasting and praying, she was able to regain her ability to walk again. My parents didn't take her to the doctor, so she was never put in a wheelchair. She was on the floor. And she said, seeing other children, she was being babysat by one of my aunts, seeing other children walking, she wanted to walk too. And so I interviewed a pediatrician who said, had your parents taken her to the doctor and they put her in a wheelchair, she probably would have never walked. But her unforgiveness and her whole journey to the place of forgiveness. I think if children understood forgiveness better, then bullying wouldn't bother them as much as it does. We've lost so many children to suicide because they're dealing with bullying. And so it was on my heart to write about forgiveness for children. And my grandson is BJ, and he has spent time with us, and that's how the story came about. The characters in the story, one is Festa Cat. That's a book that my brother wrote. My brother lives in California. And Festa Cat is a cat that's full of wisdom and brings comfort to children and discovers who he is, even though he experienced hissing and bullying of people in the marketplace. He never knew who he was. And he discovers who he is in the first book that my brother wrote. My brother asked me if I would write a children's book that included Festa Cat. And that's how that marriage came about. And so BJ and the majestic forgiveness tree involves, BJ used to, when I would ask him about doing something, he would always say, oh, that's easy peasy. So we have Easy Turtle and Peasy Squirrel. Those are his two friends in the forest. And he has an encounter with Easy Turtle that requires forgiveness. And Festa Cat takes him on a journey through this peaceful grove, which is what the forest in my backyard is called in the book, the Peaceful Grove. And they come up on this tree, the majestic forgiveness tree, and she encourages him and tells him the importance of forgiveness and what he needs to do to earnestly ask for their forgiveness. Easy recalls things that BJ and Peasy had to forgive him about. And I think that's for all of us. When we understand that forgiveness, we have been entitled to forgiveness. And so we have to give forgiveness the same way we expect to receive it. So that's the essence of this book.
Do you have any other children's books in mind for the future?
The other one that is in illustration right now is about Easy Turtle. Easy Turtle ate plastic out of the river. He thought it was a jellyfish. And so many turtles are eating plastic because they think it's food, it's floating. My husband helped proof it with me. He said, I don't think that there are jellyfish in the rivers. And I said, yes, there are jellyfish in the rivers. There's a river jellyfish that turtles eat. And when I talked about how this plastic in his system, even if we get him to pass it through his system, as it is with us, our cells are still being impacted by the plastic. The fact that it's said that we consume the equivalent of a credit card of plastic, I think maybe a week, because the particles are leaching into our food, the bottled water, anything that you get that's in plastic. It has some of the plastic in it. And Jolene, when I read that they have so many chemicals on a potato when they make potato chips, the body does not even recognize it as food anymore. It recognizes it as plastic. So this story of helping us to understand that we can't do anything in a negative way that impacts animals that does not also impact us. The book is entitled Easy's Healing. If we can heal the turtles, we will also be healing Earth and then healing the humans as well.
Yes, my youngest daughter fusses at me all the time because it's just a habit with me and has been for years to carry around a bottle of plastic water. I
Yeah.
like Zephyr Hills because it doesn't have any aftertaste and they're taking it out of our springs here. But it's just so convenient and I'm clumsy. So it ends up on the floor a lot. So long as I remember to put the lid on it, I don't get water everywhere. But
Yeah.
yes, she's getting me back to glass. She got me a glass container that fits in my hand. I'm using now.
That's nice. The stainless steel bottles are also available, and that's generally what I use. I am guilty of drinking out of some plastics. That's all I got.
You
But
do?
we have to make such a conscious effort about it.
Yes, we need to move away from them and get back to what we had before because, yes, our drinks and our food taste better when they're in glass.
Yeah.
All righty.
And then to recycle, making sure that if you do use plastic, that you are recycling.
Oh, I did during COVID and the last set of hurricanes and stuff. I made sure that all the plastic bottles were put into a bag. And then I had to go find a recycle center in our county, which
Yeah.
doesn't really do much recycling. So I had to fuss about that for a while. And let's see. I have a grab bag of 300 author questions that's been asked over the years. The next one would be when you're writing, what kind of schedule do you like to try to stick to as much as you can?
It depends on what's going on in my life. During COVID, I was able to do it a lot more
Right.
because we were confined to home. And that's what got the first book out. Then, as I was writing BJ and the Majestic Forgiveness Tree, that was during a very busy time last year with also campaigning. And then, so I would do what I could during the day. And then at night, with BJ staying with us and going to school, getting him to bed and falling asleep, trying to get him to bed, reading to him to put him to sleep, and I would put myself to sleep. So then it was getting up in the wee hours of the morning, writing. I do writing in the wee hours, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. So not on purpose is that the schedule that I set, but that's what I have done. Do you have a writing schedule?
No, I am a night person by nature, and if you leave me alone, I will be always at night. But there's so many people want my time right now. I have to try to stick to the day schedule, which is killing me.
Gotcha,
So yes,
gotcha.
I'd rather be writing and creating at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning because there's no competition for my time. Everybody's asleep. And I
Yeah,
get to talk to people from England and London. They're just getting up. So that's
nice.
what I was hoping for is to get a more international feel and another advantage of TikTok. Australia, New Zealand, Germany, UK, Ireland, Scotland.
Oh, wow.
I've met authors from all of those, and we get a chance to talk, and we're not so different. That's basically what we need to teach our children that we are
Right.
so different. We're all human beings. We all have struggles. And that's one of the great thing about social media is kids are finding out that, hey, what they're telling me is wrong. This person is not like that. You have to actually talk to them.
All humans on the same planet.
Do you have any writing pets? A lot of writers
Like
have dogs or cats or that
uh,
sit with them or walk over their keyboard or
food.
okay, so you have to have a that will be my next question. If you don't have pets, do you have to have certain foods in order for you to feel like you're going to be productive?
Yeah,
Chocolate.
it's not certain. I will crave many times something salty, but I think also that developed as a result of being a journalist, starting in television when I was 19 years old. and not necessarily being able to have an eating schedule. So you're on deadline and you have something out of the vending machine, chips and Snickers bar and whatever drink that was available that would give me caffeine. And I lived in New Orleans for a bit and worked at the NBC affiliate, which was in the quarters. And so it was not far from the French Market and Cafe Du Monde. So I would go over there and get that lethal stuff with the chicory in it. And I'm trying to develop better eating habits because I know I like to just be chewing something. The other night I had some raw pecans and I drizzled a little honey on them and some cayenne pepper. And that was pretty satisfying. So I'm trying to do better, whether it's carrots or the cayenne pepper rather than the potato chips, because I think once you know what your challenge is, just addressing it in a healthier way.
Being as you've got 3 books down and working on number 4, what common traps do you think new authors should try to avoid when they're starting their writing journey?
I think the biggest thing is overcoming the concern of whether or not they can write, whether or not I have the ability to write, whether I have the ability to tell a story, whether I have ability to tell a story that people will be interested in. If you have a writing group in your town, the Writers Alliance of Gainesville with its pods, with its group of people that do certain things to be able to connect with other people, that will save you some time and money. Because if you don't know and you start reaching out to people online that you don't know whether or not they are going to do or can do what they say they can do, it can cost you. And it did me. So I think as best you can, reaching out to other writers that are in groups. Pat actually proofed my book. Even after I had paid somebody to proof it, Pat proofed my book and still found some things. While they say that there are no books that are perfect that have been published, I still don't want mine out there with anything in it that is really glaring.
Right.
And so far, I've not had anything come back from The Art of Forgiveness because I had several people read it. I know sometimes they say, you just got to quit reading it. I would not tell anybody that. Huh?
You got to have like alpha readers at the beginning to help you get it to the place where you can get it edited by a professional. Then, once you've done the changes and you're happy with it and you've listened to it all the way through, then you get beta readers involved. A lot of new authors don't realize that you have to see your manuscript, and other people need to help you see your manuscript at least 4 or 5 times before you actually get to the point where you're ready to publish. Because yes, there are things you might miss a comma, the grammar won't catch it because it's a true word, but it's spelled wrong. Or,
Right.
but yes, if you can get beta readers, then you get your final edits down and then you let it your brain clear out. It sometimes helps. And then what I like to do is to have Word read me my book. But I choose the female, like the AIs, because in Word you can choose the accent and the sex. So you can either go American male or American female, or you can go British or Australian. It all depends on how you feel that day. But to me, the males are grading when I'm doing fiction.
Mm.
If I'm doing nonfiction, it's better. But if I use the female voices, there's 3 different ones, and I change them out. I just sit back and I just let it read to me. And then if it's going too fast, you got to put a comma in. Or if it blew right by, then it's a period that needs to go there. And if it's
So,
running on
so,
and on,
so are you looking at the script while you're listening?
yes, I'm sitting there with my coffee cup and I have the Word on and I'm looking at the words, but I'm listening more to it. And then when I hear something that doesn't sound right, I stop and look at what I wrote and said, oh, they need a comma there, or I need to put a period there. Or I need to change that word up. My biggest thing is I forget articles. And ANTHE. I forget to put those in when I'm typing because we're going so fast, we're thinking ahead. And those are hard to catch unless you have somebody reading it to you.
After I had all of that done, and I know this was the Holy Spirit on my side, and they sent me the author's copy. And I opened the book to a page that they somehow had messed up the sentence in their formatting. So even when you get to that stage, you still need to go back and read it.
Yes. Any authors that I do the formatting for to get them ready to publish before we hit that final publish, I make them go through it one more time to make sure that I didn't put a sentence with a paragraph that it shouldn't be, or I forgot to put the quotes for conversation, or I got the characters mixed up. Because some writers, when they're going along in a fiction work, for instance, the characters are talking, there's two of them, and you always have said or he said, but then once you get into the conversation and it's going back and forth, they don't put the names of the person that's talking because you're assuming.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
sometimes that gets screwed up. The wrong
right.
person saying the wrong thing. And I don't really know that myself because it's not in my head. The plot is not in my head. The characters are not. It sounds good to me, but yes, those things happen quite often with formatters.
Yeah. To hear that there are, I think the number is like 2,400 books a day published.
There's a lot.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm sure there's stuff out there that is,
Well, even the traditionally published, one of the authors that I worked for before she passed away, she was traditionally published with the romance, the big five, for 10 years. She put out 40 books. And she said even those books will have up to five mistakes in them somehow. And she edits them, the publisher edits them. There's four or five hands that's doing it, but so long as there's not more than 5 to 7 mistakes, they won't stop production. They'll just let them go.
yeah, that was the biggest thing for me, just
Uh,
trying to make sure that it was as close to perfect as possible.
as a normal human being, what books do you really like to read yourself for enjoyment?
I'm also a yoga instructor and a mindfulness coach. And I was in an office yesterday. I saw a book, and I like reading those kinds of books, like Dale Carnegie kinds of things, because it has been said that the mind is the pinnacle of God's creation. So, how do I strengthen that? Because I do have one. I may not have some other things that people have, but I have a mind. And so it is up to me to cultivate that in the best way that I can and to be able to learn the things, to be able to tap into that can bring me to the place that puts me where I need to be able to do what I came here to do. So I enjoy that kind of read. I enjoy reading children's books to children and feeling them being captivated by the characters in the books. I have read a lot of John Grisham
Ooh.
as well. I like John Grisham. He has proven to be a great writer for me. So outside of the other kind of real inspirational kind of books, I haven't had a chance to read a lot of other authors. I have enjoyed movies as a result of some of their books, but I still recognize that the movies don't live up to the books. Not ever that I've read a book and saw a movie and the movie lives up to the book. So that's what I'm reading mostly these days because it also gives me inspiration for things that I talk about in the podcast and the shows that I do at the Wellness Network channel.
There is some debate among authors and readers that audiobooks is not true reading, and I say no. What is your opinion?
The Art of Forgiveness is now on audio. And as you
Woo-hoo.
well know, audio sales went up exponentially during COVID.
Mm.
I can remember when I was in the fourth grade and I was reading in my weekly reader, when people were still using the jukebox, that there would come a day that every person that recorded a song would have to record a mini movie called a video to them. And that was just foreign to me. And now, who thinks of recording a song without recording a video? So I think that's how audiobooks will become, that authors will not dream of publishing a book without an audio version just because of who we are becoming as consumers of information. The ad that you see sometimes on Facebook about elevating yourself as a leader, and they have a list of 15-minute audios that you can listen to because they know that busy people don't necessarily have the time or will take the time, especially in bigger cities where people are commuting, mass transit, or even in your car, that people have a lot of time to be able to listen. I would rather people get the information by listening than not get the information at all. So if I say, I don't want you to, the only way that you can know about forgiveness is as you hold my book and you turn the pages. That's not true. So I'm not anti-audio books. I want people to get the message by whatever way is best for them to consume.
What do the words literary success mean to you? How do you picture it?
Jolene, when I learned that the average author may only sell 200 books, I got busy and I was like, I'm selling 200 books. So I was determined that I was going to break that. Before publishing, hearing that in the publishing world, especially before self-publishing became popular, that on average, most authors are not getting more than $1 per book because of all of the cost involved in publishing. And even if you get somebody that puts the money up front, they are definitely going to get paid way before you. What does the word literary success mean to me? I would like to achieve literary success because I believe that this message of forgiveness is so important. And while I would love to be able to speak to people and conduct workshops and have them to get the aha moments that will free them from the bondage of unforgiveness, to me, that's a huge success, huge success. Making the Wayne Dyer kind of impact on people, that would be success. But it's also a success for me to sit down and get it completed. Because I think carrying these babies around can be stressful too. So we got to put it out there so that somebody can get it at some point.
Yeah. You got to reach your readers, and you will. So the one question I've been asking, last year it was all AI and book banning. This year I'm doing the old, if you could invite three different people throughout time or history, living or dead, whatever, to your dinner table, not necessarily at the same time, which three would you like to talk to for an evening and why?
One, the lady that I do a one-woman show about, Fannie Lou Hamer, who was a civil rights activist who was jailed and beaten for teaching people about registering to vote in the state of Mississippi, and had the wherewithal to start another political party called the Democratic Freedom Party, because Black people were not allowed to be a part of the Democratic Party. I would love to find out where her courage came from, because they were threatened and she saw people hanging from trees and they tried to kill her, but she kept going. She died at age 59 as a result of life's stress and the physical injuries that she suffered as a result of the beatings. I would love to sit down with Zora Neale Hurston, who was a writer and a Floridian. And she died a poor person. I would like to speak to some women that were in the biblical times, because while we don't hear their names called, I know that they were there because the men didn't give birth to themselves. And so, how did these women, what were their real contributions to those days? And we don't know about them. We don't hear their stories. We don't hear what they went through being suppressed, their voices being suppressed, their contributions being suppressed. Not unlike what we're seeing in 2025. That still happens on a much greater scale than we even realize. And then to bring all three of those women together and to say, what should Pamela be doing to help us as women understand we are not each other's enemies? And when we come together, which is what is not wanted, we will see a complete change, not just in our community, not just in America, but across the globe. The power of those who have the genetic authority to create life. What would happen and what needs to happen as you all are sitting watching us today? How do I inspire that in us as women to come together and not think that there is some outdoing that one needs to do, or that one is elevated higher than the other, or one is lower than the other? We're not. We're not. I picked up a homeless woman the other day and gave her a ride to where she was going to be spending the night. And in my heart, it's like, why am I letting another woman spend the night outside in the cold? How am I going to go to bed tonight and be okay with that? This is a giver of life. This is my sister. And I'm going to drop her off at Depot Park and go home and sit at my table and have some warm broth and go to bed. We have been programmed to allow that to be okay. I don't want to leave here without impacting women in a way that we no longer see that as okay.
Ms. Pamela, thank you so much for participating with my podcast. And I will send you the links once everything is edited and all that fun stuff.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Jolene's Books and Writers Talk. You'll find links to my guests, their books, and additional resources in the show notes. If this conversation inspired you, follow or subscribe wherever you listen. And join me again next week for another journey into the world of writing.